US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is visiting Denmark to try to persuade it to stop work on the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline passing through its waters. Denmark has just given the go-ahead for the work, but Pompeo hopes to get the Danes to change their minds. The US believes the pipeline will make Germany too dependent on Russian gas. Now, last week, Pompeo warned companies involved in the project they will be subject to US penalties if they didn't halt their work.
Work on the Baltic Sea gas pipeline Nord Stream 2 is still moving forward, albeit slowly. The US has threatened sanctions for companies participating in the project. So right now, there's just one Russian ship laying the pipes for the remaining 160 kilometres. The pipeline runs parallel to the Nord Stream 1 pipeline from Russia to Germany, 1,200 kilometres across the Baltic. Once complete, it will allow Russia to supply double the current volume of gas. The United States says Germany is making itself dependent on Russia. Earlier this month, US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo warned against continuing to build the pipeline.
This action puts investments or other activities that are related to these Russian energy export pipelines at risk of US sanctions. It's a clear warning to companies aiding and abetting Russia's malign influence projects will not be tolerated. Get out now or risk the consequences.
Germany has rejected the criticism and says sanctions would be contrary to international law. Now, Denmark has given permission for additional vessels to work on the last phase of the pipeline within its territorial waters. That means work on the project may soon pick up speed, angering Pompeo and the White House.
So how exactly is the German government reacting to this latest US diplomatic offensive against Nord Stream 2? DW's chief political editor Michaela Küfner spoke to German Defense Minister Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer.
Nord Stream is a project that is also being debated among EU but also NATO member states. There is concern that Germany could become too dependent on Russian gas, a concern we were able to diffuse. But it's also about the concerns and the legitimate interests of Ukraine and Poland, which have to be negotiated into the contracts. And when it comes to the US threat of sanctions, we in the German government have the clear position that these are not in accordance with international law.
And Michaela Küfner, who conducted that interview, joins us now from our politics studio. Michaela, Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer isn't just Germany's defense minister, she's also the chair of Chancellor Angela Merkel's CDU party and, of course, a close ally of the Chancellor. What else did she have to say about the Nord Stream pipeline controversy?
Well, you can sense that there is a high level of concern over what the United States may do next. At the same time, I also know from previous conversations that she never was a big fan of this particular project. In fact, there were German MPs, European MPs, who've signed up against it, saying that it weakened Europe's integrity and sovereignty, particularly towards Russia, and with the US, of course, applying pressure and having its very own interests of selling liquefied gas to the European Union. So for now, the German government is trying to build a bridge by building also a new port for gas that could be imported from the United States. But clearly there is a deadlock here, and referring to international law, that's the big question, how far that argument will get the German government, which after all continues to say that the US are their closest ally.
And speaking of the US, the Trump administration has taken a very hard line on this pipeline. But with presidential elections due in 4 months' time, do you think Berlin is thinking of just sitting out this confrontation for now?
Well, of course, Berlin has also heard, all the politicians here, that Joe Biden, the Democrat candidate, has vowed to review all decisions taken by the Trump government. That may include Nord Stream 2. At the same time, there's also very strong voices in Congress that are opposed to it. So it probably won't be that easy. At the same time, the German government has learned to live with a certain level of aggravation with the United States. For now, also focusing on stability within NATO and keeping the current government on its side when it comes to key defence issues. But Nord Stream 2 simply won't go away. At the same time, the German government couldn't afford to give ground because that would be seen as basically having lost a standoff, not just with Washington, but also with Brussels.
DW's chief political editor, Michaela Küfner, thank you so much.